Welcome to today's Explainer. Look, we're going to jump right into a topic that touches almost every single family in the modern world. We are undeniably living in a golden age of medicine. We've got pills that can manage blood pressure, balance blood sugar, keep our hearts beating strong. It's incredible. But what happens when the very marvels of modern pharmacologies start piling up in our medicine cabinets? Today, we're going to investigate the hidden complexities of modern medicine. Specifically, we're looking into the perils of taking just way too many drugs at once. To really ground our investigation today, think about this fascinating piece of wisdom from the Thirukkural, written by the philosopher Thiruvallivar over 2,000 years ago. He wrote, "The body needs no medicine if what has been eaten is properly digested before eating again." Now, he wasn't saying medicine is bad. Rather, he was establishing this baseline philosophy about respecting what we actually put into our bodies. It's this ancient reminder that health heavily depends on our daily inputs. But, today we face a vastly different, far more modern question. What happens when those inputs we're trying so hard to manage are a handful of different pharmaceutical drugs? Okay, let's dive into this. Consider this number, 50.4%. According to a massive 2026 global meta-analysis, and we're talking about a study looking at over 16 million older adults across 56 countries, over half of older adults hit a very specific, incredibly common medical threshold. Literally over half. So this isn't some rare anomaly, it's the statistical norm for our aging population, and that prevalence is only going up. That 50.4% figure, that represents the prevalence of polypharmacy, which is commonly defined as the regular use of 5 or more medications. I want you to think about your own parents, maybe your grandparents, or even yourself. Having a long prescription list has become almost completely normalized today. It can kind of deceptively feel like a medical CV, right? Like the longer the list of medications, the more thoroughly cared for the patient must be. But the sheer number of medicines really isn't the whole story. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, the polypharmacy paradox. Then we'll uncover 3 major blind spots: the multiplication of risk, the microbiome memory, and the food-drug feedback loop. Finally, we'll wrap up with the art of deprescribing. Let's get right to it. Section 1. The polypharmacy paradox. Taking 5 drugs might be absolutely perfect for one person, but the real danger lies in unexamined polypharmacy, when the benefits simply no longer justify the risks. And that brings us to our first major medical blind spot, Section 2, the multiplication of risk. This is where we crash right into the mathematical limits of what medical databases can actually track. Imagine a single patient who is prescribed 9 different medications. And honestly, for an older adult managing multiple chronic conditions, 9 is a very realistic number. On the surface, it feels like just 9 individual therapies doing 9 individual jobs. But, well, let's look at the actual math. The math here brilliantly illustrates the problem. Those 9 medications don't just exist in a vacuum. 9 single drugs create 36 possible 2-drug combinations. But when you jump to 3 drug combinations, you get 84 possible interactions. The arithmetic scales like wildfire. It's literally impossible for scientists to know every single interaction in advance. Historically, our knowledge is built around pairs. Drug A interacts with drug B. But as that medication burden rises, our confidence gets mathematically thinner and thinner. Medicine is fantastic at asking, what does this one drug do? But it really struggles to answer, what do these 9 drugs do together in this specific person? Take this real-world example from a pharmacovigilance study. Researchers were tracking a severe muscle condition called statin-associated rhabdomyolysis. They finally found a danger signal, but only when 3 specific drugs were combined: pitavastatin, allopurinol, and valsartan. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this danger signal would never have appeared if researchers had only looked at those drugs in pairs. The unexpected interaction only showed up when all 3 were mixed. Now, obviously not every 3-drug combo is toxic, but it proves the point. The more drugs you add, the deeper into the unknown you go. Let's move to the second blind spot, which is located deep inside the patient. Section 3, the microbiome memory. For a long time, medicine basically treated the human gut as just a digestive tube, but it's actually this incredibly complex biological ecosystem that interacts with our immunity, our metabolism, and exactly how we process drugs. Consider this fascinating longitudinal study on aged mice. During high-burden polypharmacy, the drugs altered their gut microbiome so intensely that it actually overrode the normal changes we associate with aging. But here is the wild part. When the medications were withdrawn, several of those changes partially reversed. It's like the gut has a memory for prolonged drug exposure, and it can partially heal once the drugs stop. Yes, it's an animal study, so we can't definitively say this causes clinical injury in humans just yet, but it raises this massive hopeful possibility. The biological toll of taking too many pills might actually be reversible. Which brings us to our third blind spot, sitting right at our dining tables. Section 4, the food-drug feedback loop. We usually learn about food and drugs in these quirky little isolated examples, right? Like, don't eat grapefruit with this pill, or avoid dairy with that antibiotic. But the crucial point here is this relentless, bidirectional relationship. It's a double problem. First, drugs can totally alter your appetite and your GI function. Second, the food you eat can alter how those drugs behave. Maybe the food blocks the drug from working, or maybe it makes it absorb way too fast, causing toxicity. When you multiply that complexity across 5 or 9 medications, the timing instructions just become a nightmare. In fact, a systematic review actually found a significant, direct link between polypharmacy and malnutrition. So the very pills meant to heal someone might subtly undermine their nutrition, and then that poor nutrition changes how the pills work. It is a relentless feedback loop. So we've seen the math risks, the microbiome impacts, and the nutritional feedback loops. What's the solution? Section 5, the art of deprescribing. Let me be incredibly clear here. Deprescribing is not about rationing healthcare. It's absolutely not some thoughtless attempt to just slash a prescription list down to an arbitrary number, because just yanking away medications can cause real harm. Instead, deprescribing is a deliberate, collaborative reassessment. It's about sitting down and asking targeted questions. Question 1. Which indication has actually disappeared? Think about a patient given a drug for acid reflux 10 years ago during a really stressful life event. Do they still even have that condition today? If the initial reason is gone, why is the drug still in the daily routine? Question 2. Which treatment has become redundant? You know how it goes, you visit a cardiologist, an endocrinologist, rheumatologist, and suddenly you have overlapping prescriptions doing practically the exact same thing. Every single treatment on a list needs to constantly justify its reason for being there. And the final, maybe the most critical question, which drug may now be causing more harm than benefit? What works like an absolute charm for a patient at age 50 might be totally overwhelming their liver or kidneys at age 80. The beautiful thing about deprescribing is that these are empowering questions, answered with the patient, not decided for them. I want to bring this explainer full circle today. We started with ancient wisdom, and I want to end with a contemporary Tamil reflection on modern pharmacology. It says, wisdom does not lie in rejecting medicine. When medicines multiply, it lies in re-examining them. We spent the entire last century building modern medicine up, one brilliant drug at a time. Now, the next great leap in healthcare might just be mastering the wisdom of knowing when to scale them back. So I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought. Whether it's for yourself or maybe for a loved one, take a look at the medicine cabinet. Are we periodically asking whether every single medication is still necessary, still beneficial, and still right for us today? Don't be afraid to take that exact question to your doctor and have a deliberate reassessment. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. And hey, here's to making informed, structured choices about our health.